Hey guys, welcome to SERA Diaries. I'm SERA, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about my 15 and pregnant labor and delivery horrible story. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please subscribe, hit the bell notification to get future videos. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. And we're gonna go right into it. As you guys can see, I'm in my daughter's room right now because everybody's like all loud everywhere else, so I needed to get some space to myself to tell you guys. But if you guys seen my 15 and pregnant story, you'll know that now I'm going into my horrible 43-hour delivery and everything that happened afterwards. If you haven't seen my 15 and pregnant story, I'll go ahead and put it down in the description so you guys can go back and look at it. But we can go right into it. So in my 15 and pregnant story, I forgot to say that when I first got pregnant, I was 98 pounds. When I had my son, I was 182 pounds. When I was about 6 months pregnant, I started noticing that I was gaining a lot of weight. And my legs were swelling up and my arms were swelling up. And I remember one day I was walking down the hallway of my school that I went to for pregnant girls, and it just hurt so bad. My legs were so swollen. So they called an ambulance and they took me to the hospital, and I had really high blood pressure. And that's when they found out that I had preeclampsia. And it's also known as toxemia. And if you guys don't know what it is, you can Google it or whichever, but it's pretty much where your body retains water and it's not good for the baby and it's not good for you. And it has a lot to do with sodium and stuff. That's why they tell you to stay away from salt and all that. But I ended up getting put on bed rest, and I had a tutor that came to my house every day to tutor me because I was only 6.5, 7 months pregnant and I wasn't finished with school. So anyways, Friday morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up because I had to pee really bad. And I ran to the bathroom and I went pee. Wiped myself, stood up, and there was stuff leaking out, but I was like, oh, what's this? And being 15 years old, I didn't really know anything, so I touched my thigh. And I was like, oh, it's probably just pee, wash my hand. But disgusting. But if you have a kid, you know that it's more disgusting. Anyways, so I went back to sleep. I woke up about 7:30 because my tutor was gonna be coming, so I had to get up early and get ready. But when I got out of bed, I just felt all these dribbles coming out of me, and I thought it was pee. So I ran to the bathroom, peed, got up, and I was still leaking. And I touched it again, and this time when I touched it, it felt really thick and gooey, and I was like, holy shit, I am leaking and my water is about to break. So I ran downstairs and I woke my mom up, and my mom, who never gets up, I tapped her and I was like, my water's leaking. And she was like, what? And I was like, my water's leaking. And she flung out of bed and she was like, oh my God, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. And I was like, calm down, I have to call my doctor first. So I called my doctor and they told me to come into the hospital. And if you remember my 15 and pregnant story, I said that the guy that I was with, AKA my baby daddy, he was in a juvenile place. So I had to call him to tell him to see if they would release him to be able to go with us to the hospital. So they said, yeah, whatever. So we get ready, I pack my bag, everything, because I'm last minute everything and I didn't have a bag packed. And we went to go pick him up. Well, on our way to pick him up, we were at a red light, and all I remember is this sudden rush came over me and everything just fell out of me. And when I mean everything, I mean everything. It was so disgusting. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I'm peeing myself. I was freaking out, and my mom's next to me dying laughing, and there was a guy in the car on the side of us who was looking at me like I was hella crazy. And I was just so embarrassed, and my mom was laughing and it was all over the front seat of her car, and it was just crazy. So when we went to pick up my son's father, he got in the car and my mom was telling him and he started laughing and he was like, she's leaking, she's soaking wet, she's leaking. And I just wanted to punch him in the face because that was not funny. We get to the hospital and I get out of the car and I'm like walking into the hospital like this because it's so nasty and it looks like I literally pissed myself. And everyone was looking at me like I was stupid. But my mom was like, don't mind them. They see you're pregnant, so they probably know what's going on. So I was just like, whatever. So I get there, they tell me to take all my clothes off and get up on the bed and they start checking me, hooking me up to the monitors, and they're like, oh, well, are you feeling any contractions? And I was like, no, none at all. They're like, well, you are having slight contractions. Mind you, my water broke at exactly around 8 o'clock when we were in the car. So that's 8 a.m. in the morning. Now I'm in the hospital, they're checking me and they're telling me that since my water just broke and my contractions aren't that close at all and I'm not feeling them, to go ahead, go home, do a lot of walking and call them if my contractions get harder. So I was like, okay. They were like, and if they don't get harder, just come back about 5 p.m. and then we'll get you admitted and get you all set up in your room and whatnot. So I was like, okay. So we go home. By this time it's like 10:30, 11 a.m. and my mom's got me walking around everywhere and my boyfriend at the time was walking with me and it was like nothing was happening. But I had to wear this big pad and these big underwear that they gave me, and I know anybody who's had a baby knows what those are, but they're the most comfortable things ever. So we'll get into that later. But so 5 p.m. well, it wasn't even 5 p.m. It was like 4 p.m. The hospital called me and they were like, hey, you having any contractions yet? And I was like, no, not yet. They're like, okay, well, we're really, really busy right now. So would you mind coming in about 6:30ish p.m. and we'll get you admitted? And I was like, yeah, fine. So 6:30 comes, we go in. I'm still not feeling any contractions or anything. So they get me settled in my room and they like hook me up to all the IVs and the baby monitor. And we're just laying there. So about 9 o'clock comes, and so I can't really remember what they gave me first, but they gave me something first. And I didn't start really having contractions until about 4 o'clock in the morning, or feeling the contractions. I remember sleeping and waking up and feeling like I had really bad period cramps. But that's when I knew, okay, I'm having contractions. So I was having contractions. They kept coming in, checking on me. I was okay. Then about 9 o'clock in the morning, that's what happened. They gave me the potassium. And let me tell you a really funny story about the Pitocin, that's what it is. Really funny story about it is that when they were giving it to me, it has like buttons on it, arrows that go up and down. And I remember the nurse pressing the up button and I was like, well, what does that do? She's like, well, that makes your contractions come on stronger and better. And I was like, no. And I started pressing the button down and she was like, you can't do that. And I was like, yes, I can. She's like, you want this baby to come out, right? And I was like, yeah, but not that way. And you know, I'm 15, so I don't really know, but I don't want to feel the pain. So anyways, fast forward, at 9 o'clock in the morning, they gave me the Cervidil, or however you say that, to get me to dilate more so that I can get ready to push. So hours are going on, I'm starting to feel the contractions more, and it's getting harder and it's getting worse. And I was like, I'm not gonna do an epidural whatsoever. My whole pregnancy, I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I heard so many horror stories, I'm not gonna do it. But any woman who's had a baby knows that it is painful, and I said, screw that. Give me the epidural and give me it now. So, and by all means, any woman who has done it without any pain medication, salute to you, hats off to you, you're amazing and strong, but I could not do it. I hate pain. Any amount of pain, I cannot stand it. They gave me the epidural, and by that time I was just like so exhausted from the contractions and it taking so long and everything. So I was like in and out of it a lot for the next few hours. About 7 p.m. I started to feel like I had to go to the bathroom, and they were like, well, when you feel like you gotta go to the bathroom, that means it's time to push. So I was like, okay. So finally they get everything prepped and they're like, all right, yes, you're 10 centimeters dilated. Let's get this ball rolling. Let's get this baby out of here. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, let's get this over with, because I really couldn't feel any pain by then because the epidural was in and whatnot. But my breathing was kind of different, which I also have asthma, so they had me on like oxygen on and off because was hard for me to breathe a little bit. So finally, everybody gets in there and we start pushing. I'm pushing. A half hour passes. I'm still pushing. Mind you, my water has been broke for like over 24 hours. So I'm still pushing. Then they put this bar like up like this, and they tie a sheet to it, and they put my legs on the bars. So my legs were like, I don't know if you guys could see it, but my legs were like this, and I was holding on to the sheet, and I'm like pushing for dear life, and nothing is happening. And I just like let go of the sheet and laid back because I was so tired and exhausted that I just wanted to go to sleep. By 11 o'clock, it started to get really hectic in there, and the doctors noticed that there was like dips in the heartbeat, and he wasn't coming out that way, and they were talking how your water can't be broke over 43 hours because it's a dry birth and there's risk for infection, and like all this stuff was going on. And I just remember laying there like in and out of it. My family was there, and they're like, we got to give her an emergency C-section. Like, this baby can't stay in there no more. Her blood pressure's going up. She's getting hot. There's a lot going on. So the surgeon had came in who talked to me and told me what was going to happen. First, they said they were going to try to take me into the operating room and see if I could push a little more and see what they could do. But if it didn't happen, I was going to have to go into a C-section. So we go into the operating room, and they put me on the operating table, and they like make everybody change, and then they have my mom come in. So they try to have me push a couple more times when the contractions come, and nothing works. So they were like, we're gonna try a suction cup, and we're gonna try this one more time and see if it works. So they're like, on the count of 3, you're gonna push, and we're gonna pull to see if we can get him out. So I went to push, and it went pop, and I got freaked out because my mom was like, what is all that blood? What's going on? And blah, blah, blah. And the suction cup had popped off the head. So they were like, yeah, it's time to go into C-section because her blood pressure is going up, her fever's going up, so much is going up. And that's when I don't remember anything because I think they put me out. I mean, I don't really know. But I ended up, and I woke up when they were wheeling my son off to go into an intensive care unit because he had an infection. So I woke up, they put me in my room, and then I was like in and out of it because I was really drugged up from everything that they gave me, the anesthesia, all that. And finally, they were like, we're going to take you into, this was like the next day, they're like, we're going to take you into the room so that you can see your son. So I was like, yay, finally, you know. So they took me in there, and my mom started freaking out. She's like, what is wrong with him? And I freaked out, and all that we seen was that his 2 little toes, well, he had 5 toes, obviously, but there was 2 toes that were like webbed together, not by the bone, but by the skin. And it was so cute because we were like, oh, it's going to be our little duck, and he's going to swim, and you know, the little cute mommy stuff we do. So he had to stay in intensive care unit because there was a specific medication they had to give him because of the infection that he had and the risk for more infection. And at the time, I also had an infection, and my fever kept spiking to about 103 something or 104 or something like that. And with a C-section, you're only supposed to stay in the hospital for 3 days, 96 hours, I think that is, 24, 48, 72 hours, whatever. I hate math. That's why I failed math class, but I hate it. Don't mind me. You're only supposed to stay in there for 3 days, but I ended up staying in there for a week. So remember, I went in on Friday, and I didn't get released till the following Friday. And the reason being is because my fever kept spiking, so I thought I had an infection, and they were giving me antibiotics. And in order for me to be able to leave the hospital, my fever had to be below 100 for at least 24 hours, because that's when they knew the infection was at least going away. So finally, that Friday, it had been 24 hours, my fever went down, and they're like, yeah, you can go home, but one little detail is that your son can't go with you because the medicine that we're giving him for his infection can only be given by a licensed nurse. So we have to set up something to where you can have a nurse come into your home and give it to him. So I had to go home that Friday. But But they told me to stay home and get some rest. Don't worry about staying the night, that he would be in good hands, and just go home and get rest and come in the next day. So I was like, okay, fine. And mind you, my son's father, like the day I had him, left the hospital to go play basketball with his friends, and then I didn't see him for like the rest of the week. So it was like crazy BS. He still don't see his son till today, but I don't even really care about that because my baby is way better off without him. And my husband is a better father to him than he would ever imagine being. Finally, the next day came, Saturday. They had told us they had a nurse, so we were able to go pick him up, and we were so excited. I put him in his little first outfit. It was like a sports outfit because his whole bedroom was sports and everything. I couldn't wait to get him home. And mind you, if you've had a C-section, you know walking sucks. Anything you do is horrible. Everything hurts. So I finally got him home, and they were like, we're also going to have a visiting nurse come for you so that they can just check on you and make sure you're okay and everything. So I was like, okay. So then Sunday came, and I remember my stomach was hurting really bad, like where the incision was. And when the visiting nurse came, I had told her, hey, it's burning and it's hurting a lot and it's like itching. So she looked at it and she was like, you're fine. If you see it's red or anything, you know, that just means that it's healing, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to today, if something is red and it's hurting and burning, you want to get that checked out. Rewind now back. So I was like, okay, whatever. So she left. And then I remember going up into the bathroom, and I was going to the bathroom, and I thought it was because I was pushing so hard. But all of a sudden, I felt a whole rush of warm water like fall out of me. And when I mean out of me, I mean out of my incision. So I was like running downstairs holding my stomach, and it wasn't blood. It was like yellow green, and it smelled like pneumonia. It was disgusting. And I was freaking out because I thought I was gonna like die or something. So my grandfather at the time had called 911, had the ambulance come. They came, and the ambulance people, the paramedics, didn't even know what happened or what was going on. They were like, we don't know what's going on. Just calm down. You're going to be okay. And I was like freaking out. So I get to the hospital, and they're like, oh my gosh, you have an infection, and you have a really bad infection. So right now, we're going to give you morphine. And if anybody knows what that is, it's like a really good painkiller, which I hate taking any kind of medicine. So I freaked out when they were trying to give it to me. But they were giving me that because what they had to do was open the C-section. Hey guys, sorry. My daughter Natalia came in and she wanted to sit with me and record. For anybody who doesn't know, this is Natalia, my 5-year-old munchkie. Say hi.
Hi.
We also have a family channel if you guys want to see. We do a lot of fun things on there, and we blog. I'll put that down in the description. But for now, I'll go ahead and finish my horrible labor and delivery story. So they told me that what they had to do was open my C-section so that they can let the rest of the infection out, which is disgusting. Because they had to open it about 2 inches wide and then like 1.5 inches deep in order to get the full infection out. And when they did that, you could just smell it coming out, and you could feel it leaking out, and it was just bad. So after that, they cleaned and did what they had to do and get it out, and they put a patch over it. They didn't shut it because they said it needed to stay open and air out and heal on its own. So I was in the hospital for another 2 days until they could make sure that the infection was fully gone and that I can go home and be with my son because I missed him. So, so they finally released me, and then I had to have another visiting nurse come and pack it every day. And what I mean by pack it is put gauze inside the open wound every day. Clean it out, pack it. Clean it out, pack it. So it was very hard dealing with that because I was so sick, and like going in and out of the hospital just was not fun. So I had to go see my surgeon later on, and he was like, you're getting a lot better, you know, it's fine. We're gonna stop the nurse come, and you're gonna have to start cleaning it on your own. What? You want me to open that thing and clean it on my own? And he was like, yeah. He's like, and I also want you to stand in the shower and hold it open and let the water run on it. Now I'm 15, so I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not doing that. So I had my mom and like my Aunt Michelle doing it for me because it was disgusting to me. What?
Love you, Mom.
Oh, I love you too. So that, I had to go home and had that happen. So now that is my story. And I have two more kids. I had two more kids after that. My 5-year-old Natalia right here. I have my 10-year-old daughter Ariana, who's outside at the park playing with her friends. And my 13-year-old son Joshua, who's gonna be 14 in about 3 weeks. I did end up having to have C-sections with my other 2 kids because they said that my chances of having a natural birth was like 40%. And then each time you have a C-section, it just makes it worse for you to be able to have a VBAC, which is a vaginal birth after cesarean. And each time the C-sections got so much better. The second C-section, I did have a little bit of an infection, but my C-section with this little munchkin right here turned out to be way better. And I knew what to expect and I knew what to do, and it was just so much better, smooth riding. Now me and my husband don't really plan on having any more kids, but who knows what the future holds. But if you like the video and you want to know more about my birthing stories and me having my son at 15 or me having my second child at 19 in an abusive relationship, make sure you leave a comment, give a thumbs up to this video, subscribe to my channel for more. And again, I'll put my family link down in the description so you guys can subscribe to us on there, where we do fun, tons, vlogging, games, everything. And we will see you guys later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say bye.
Bye.
Bye.